We are going to be interviewing Janessa PodsOfWar, who is the CEO of a new company called Fenix Down, which is a management company for streamers. Pods, how are you doing? First of all,
I'm pretty nervous.
okay, good, because we have really hard questions like that.
Yeah,
The
really
interview questions
tough.
I sent you, I lied. None of those are the questions. We're actually going
Oh
to be
no,
playing Who Wants to Be a Millionaire,
this
and
is
you
a
have
tarp.
three lifelines to
I'm
get to
gonna
the
call
top.
Oliver to help.
So to start, like, how did Phoenix Down come about? Like, how did you come up with doing this?
So, awkward story. So Phoenix Down is comprised of four amazing people. It is myself as well as Oliver, who is Fearless520 in the chat, Zach and Sarah, who you might know online as Pims, and we all were our friends, but we were also co-workers at Online Performers Group, which was a management company here in San Diego that I when I discovered Twitch, I didn't even know that like management companies or agencies or marketing was a thing, and let alone I found it out in my city and like found a job that I was like good and passionate about. Um so I was super excited to work there. I've worked there for a little bit over 2 years, and then Zach and Oliver worked there for much longer than I did. Um, well, some stuff happened that went down after COVID, and basically through like the gaming Me Too movement that happened. Um, some stuff came out about the CEO of Online Performers Group, and we don't have too much time to get into it, but you guys can research it if you want to. The I quit the company because I didn't feel like my values and morals lined up, and a lot of the clients left as well, and they still very much needed help with their streaming endeavors and business and a lot of the stuff that we did with for them. um, Online Performance Group ended up closing. So all of a sudden all of my amazing talented friends were out of jobs in the middle of COVID, a pandemic.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so we just started brainstorming and thinking what we could do. Like, is there a way that we could replicate this in a better way? Because a lot of the things that we did at OPG, like we were the backbone of that company. Like we were doing it anyway. The hard part was figuring out how to make it legal and how to do all these business infrastructures and LLCs and stuff. But as far as like actually running the processes that streamers need, that's the easy part for us. We were doing that all day, every day. Um, so that's how it came about. I had an initial meeting with like the team and said, "Do you want to do something?" At that same time, I was also hit up by Rare Drop, who, if you guys know, is comprised of Professor Broman, King Gathalion, Darkness 429, and K
Mm-hmm.
Magic 101. They have an LLC, a media company, and they basically met with us and said, like, "Hey, if you're planning on doing something," which is wild that they even thought that we could be like coming up with something. He was like, they were like, "We want to be involved. We want to support you in any way that we can. We have a lot of connections with like sponsors, attorneys, streamers, or whatever. Like, we we want to see you guys succeed. We think that you did good work." And that's how Phoenix Down was born.
Yeah, that's awesome. It's kind of crazy because, like, I was also part of this whole thing that was happening because I was a client at OPG. So, I was one of the clients that left, and like seeing you guys build your own team has been super exciting because, you guys, yeah, like you said, you were the backbone of that company, and you guys have done phenomenal work. Like, it's been, it was so awesome working with you guys. How did you guys like come up with the name Phoenix Down? Like, where does that come from?
Well, obviously it comes from, it's a little nod to Final Fantasy, I've got to say. Like, I'm not gonna hide it. But we had this brainstorming meeting where we were going through like what we wanted to uh name our company, and we didn't want it to be connected or the same as like Rare Drop at all, because they're only a very small part of the endeavor. And
Mm.
so I actually got I wrote the alphabet down on my whiteboard, and I like crossed out all the letters that could be like considered any Rare Drop or like any like streamer's name, and I just ended up with like a couple of letters that worked, and we just started throwing things out. Like I think we were in a meeting just like literally throwing words out.
Mhm.
Phoenix Down, we were talking about something that like not only rised from the ashes of what was from our past, but also wanted to come off as something like very helpful to streamers or content creators.
Mhm.
Um, and then us being like our nerdy selves, we're like, well, what about a Phoenix Down? Like you carry it where like you always have to have one on you, you know, it's gonna save you from death. It's like a handy little thing to have in your back pocket.
Mhm.
Um, and I really liked the alternate spelling. And as much as I love Final Fantasy VI, it's my favorite one. I didn't know about the translation error until we already landed on that name.
What's the translation error?
So in Final Fantasy VI, you could only fit like a certain number of characters on the screen. So it's
Mhm.
spelled the same way as our company, Phoenix Down.
Oh, that's super, super interesting. Wow.
Yeah.
That's really cool. I actually really like that too. Um, so, you kind of talked about like you guys have had the experience of working with streamers, but what about the experience of like building a company? What challenges did you all face when building this all in the span of what, 6 months?
Yeah. And I like this question, how it's phrased like 6 months is like a short time. I feel like it was an eternity. It was,
Really?
yeah. I feel like it took us so long to get this off the ground, but we were also dealing with this every day. We were really just using the internet and YouTube, and eventually we got an attorney who helped us so much.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but that was definitely the struggle. We knew in theory how to create an LLC because we helped some of our clients incorporate as an LLC. I don't know if
Mm-hmm.
incorporate is the right word, um, but doing it yourself in a pandemic was scary because you would just like ship off this paperwork and be like, are they gonna accept it? Like there was a huge like wait times because the entire state of California processing was down, and we're like, I
Mm.
don't know, how do we get an EIN? How do we get a bank account? So it was all this adventure. I remember we all show up at the bank account to get an account, which is ridiculous considering it's COVID. Like, why can't we just do
Yeah.
this virtually? But they did not let us do that.
So
Um,
that's actually really cool because you guys all worked at OPG and it was you guys were working on location. Like most of you guys are still like living in the same area, right?
yeah, we're all still in San Diego,
Nice.
which we've only seen each other that one time for the
Hmm.
bank account, but that was nice.
Yeah.
Um, I do think that we are going to save the money on like not having a physical location. And
Mm,
we also love working remote. It makes sense because
for sure.
of all the people that we work with, sponsors and creators otherwise, they're all across the nation, all across the world. So I don't see why we really need a brick and mortar right now. Maybe that'll change, but
Hmm.
I don't think so. I like working from my bed.
I think I'm already used to working from home, but I feel like a lot more people have definitely gotten used to that. So
We
on
also
launch,
had a leg up though. Like
yeah.
we had professional microphones and cameras. We're like, this is normal. This is just like I'm just streaming to people that know me.
Yeah, for sure. So on launch, you guys started with I think 17 clients.
Mhm.
What was it like to build out this company with like streamers that are large and full time and like they have these needs already, like they know what they're looking for, and basically they're almost like test subjects, right? Like, what was it like?
Yeah.
Were they involved in this process?
They were definitely involved. They were asking me about updates at all times. There were some people that like we tested out certain softwares with.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot that happens that I think even the people that we worked with in the past don't understand the robust systems that we had in place. So we had to come up with like CRMs, with workflows, project management softwares, things that could automate, bring reporting, like Twitch analytics for sponsored streams, or we even tried out some softwares that would like automatically set your chat bot or maybe like a sponsored overlay and stuff like that. Trying to do things that will make it the easiest for anybody. We had to figure out how to create branded emails and do that at scale for all of
Mhm.
these streamers. So all of that was very much guinea pig. There was a lot of like questions and testing and just like, hey, do you like your email this way or do you want it this way, and forwarding to us. So yeah, they definitely signed up for something that was more hands-on, which I think they respect and they
Mhm.
like this idea that things can be custom to them. um and it's all about just making their life easier, so why not?
Yeah, for
um
sure. I think like a lot of streamers value that type of input, like that type of relationship where they feel like they're shaping the company too, and
oh yeah.
so I think that that's super valuable to building a company for streamers. You actually have streamers involved in building it.
Yeah, it's very important to me. Like I know I haven't streamed in a long time, but I always want to keep up the creating even if it's more of like a side gig now than my main thing, because
Mhm.
I know what it feels like to stream, and I know like I can empathize a little bit better with the struggles that everybody goes through. I mean, like, I know what it feels like when you're having a bad day and you're just like, oh, the viewership wasn't there. Like, what did I do wrong? Was it something random, or was it, just a bad day? Or was it something that I did?
Mhm.
So I think that that's very important. And I love to support content creation in general. So anybody at the company, I'm like very encouraging them, ugh, to continue creating as well.
Yeah, that's really cool. So what has your team learned in your experience at your previous company that you feel you've improved on with Phoenix Down?
Hmm, that's a really good question. I think that our internal workflows have gotten a lot better. Um, we really questioned some of the things that we did and be like, do we have to do it this way? I think a lot of the things that we were doing took a lot of time. And while the checks and balances were great to make sure that we didn't make a mistake, I think that we sort of trust our instincts a little bit more rather than having to like report every single thing that we do. I think we also learned more about like work life balance in COVID,
Mhm.
and being a little bit more forgiving to ourselves. Like, we'll have goals and that we want to hit for the week on what we want to complete, but if we don't hit them, we need to be a little bit more forgiving, because in the past we were very, very overworked and not happy and sick. Like this time last year I was in the hospital, in case you guys don't
Oh my
know.
God.
Yeah, because I was very stressed out. I was overworked, and I think that's one thing that we're really being more careful with this time. We don't want to bring on too many people to where we're stressed and maxed out, and we
Mhm.
want to grow at a reasonable level so that way that doesn't happen to anybody.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think as a streamer too, we definitely understand that feeling of being burnt out, especially like during these times too, where it feels like our energy levels are a lot lower, and it can be hard to perform at the same level, pre-COVID, right? So, I definitely can relate to that. So, I have a question, I guess. Like, you guys call yourself a streamer management company. Um, are you guys also an agency, or is that different? Like, what is the difference between that?
I'm so glad that you asked this, because this is probably the hardest thing that I have to explain to people about the company, but it's also a really, really good thing to know. Um, and it's also something that a lot of companies in the industry are kind of muddling up together. And Phoenix Down is one of the few places where you'll get this difference. So, what we did is, because we were located in California, we looked at the traditional talent space when it comes to acting and radio hosts,
Mhm.
where you have a manager and you have an agent. They're two separate things. So, to answer your most direct question, Phoenix Down will be both. At the current moment, in its current state, it's only a management company, and the agency part should be coming in about a month or so.
Okay.
But the difference is when you think of a manager, you think of like Kris Jenner, right? To the Kardashians. Kris
Mm,
Jenner is like is managing all of her daughters' businesses, careers, their schedules, helping advise them on like what's a good opportunity and what isn't, really like guiding their career and the sort of work that comes in. Whereas an agent will go out and pitch you for sponsorships, get you those brand deals. They'll go out to places where, like, oh, I really love XYZ company. Will you go see if they will work with me? That's where an agent comes in. And
gotcha.
in certain in certain states, being California, Florida, and New Jersey, you need a license to be able to do that agency type of work,
Mhm,
which is why we don't have that's why we don't have the agency part running up yet, because
mhm.
it's going to take a $50,000 bond.
Oh my
uh,
god.
we all had to take fingerprints and like file those with the state, so the state's going to know all of our stuffs. uh, yeah, it's pretty involved. We also have to work with our attorneys to iron out an agency contract, and the state will look over that as well and make sure that it's okay for the talent.
Mm,
Now, the reason why people don't do this is because of how involved it is, and also if the reason why this exists is because of a talent agency act that was passed in the 70s. And in the 70s, it doesn't really iron out or specifically call out streamers because that's not a thing that existed back
right.
then. But if you ask me, I feel like that's where the world is going. And I think it's a really good model that's fair to the talent. So I'd rather just be proactive, and I don't want to have to wait till a streamer goes to the labor commissioner and argues, and then everybody has to change their business model. We'll already be ready for it.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think like for streamers, for those that sponsorships is like a big thing that I think streamers think about when they think of like a management company or something when they want to be
Hmm.
represented. So so if a sponsorship comes in for a streamer, you guys can handle that, but like you just can't go and seek those out. Is that basically the difference there?
Exactly, yes.
Gotcha.
So our current client base are people that um they already have this work coming in, and they don't want to work, like they don't want to do the business things. Either they don't want to, or they would just rather
Right,
spend more
they're
time
busy.
streaming.
They want to
Yeah,
stream and not do all the stuff behind the scenes. I get it. I mean, my
totally.
inbox is a mess. Like, I totally understand.
So if I think that's where people get lost, is like they want sponsorships and they want more opportunity, and in that case go find yourself an agency.
Mm,
uh, but if you already have a bunch of inquiries, if you're actively turning down work because you can't get to the emails in time, or because that just isn't your forte, then that's when you want to seek out management or like a personal assistant type of person.
hmm so what other kinds of things do you do for streamers?
So a lot of it is sponsored around, or not sponsored, a lot of it is based around those sponsorships, right?
Hmm.
Like reporting, invoicing, all of that stuff. But we're also going to manage your email. So even unpaid things that come through, there's a lot of companies that like won't touch those things. That's something where we want to be able to help with. Um, we also want to look at streamers' analytics and probably have like a monthly review
Mm,
where we say like, here's where you're at. Like, did you stream less this month? Like, sort of pinpoint, this game worked for you, this one didn't. Like, what are your long-term goals? Like, what do you want to do for next month or 6 months or a year from now? Like, where do you want to be? And then a lot of it is emotional support too. Like, I think people just need a second eye on things.
hmm
A lot of times people will talk to us and just be like, am I crazy or is this weird? So that's where we come and help a lot. I can't
hmm
even speak in full sentences now.
No, I
We
think
come
that's
and help. Good.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's really awesome because I think you know, with especially with analytics and like getting guidance and figuring out your goals, like I think that's something that a lot of streamers struggle with. I mean, I know I do, where it's like, what direction am I going? Like, what's actually doing well? Being able to like look at trends and stuff too, and you know, it's just one of those things where you know, having people who know what they're doing, know what they're looking at, especially you know, like you said, you have streaming experience, so you actually know that side of things too. I think that's super valuable for streamers for sure.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times it can be very emotional and you can get in your head about your business.
Hmm.
And there are a lot of conversations where somebody comes to us and is just feeling down or like maybe they aren't doing the best. And then we look at the numbers and we're like, you're growing. Like you might not feel it, but your numbers and paper is way better than the last time we looked at it.
Hmm.
And so that can be very valuable to someone.
Hmm. Yeah, absolutely. So what do you feel sets you apart from other management companies?
Um, So we founded our company based off of these like four pillars. The first of which being experience. I think we have a lot of nuanced experience in what we do, specifically on the management side. I know there's a lot of agencies and there's a lot of people doing sponsored work, but there's not really a lot of people that will advise you on like, I don't think that you should take that because of these reasons. Or like, I think that we should push back on this one aspect. Like, something that's been coming up is like VODs, right? You could literally get banned if there's music in your VODs. And so we might tell a sponsor, like, hey, we don't want to keep that up for 60 days. Like, let's bring that down because of what's going on. Um, we really want to empower the creator. So, a lot of what we're going to be working on in the future is creating resources for the people that we cannot manage. We
Mm.
want to have like sort of a rate calculator, just let everybody know how we come up with our rates. And so, if somebody can't work with us, then they should at least know where the baseline is in the industry. So that way they aren't accepting work that isn't paying them well.
That's really cool.
Um, Thank you. It's going to take a little bit of a while to get up, but that's what we
Hmm.
want to do. We want people to work with us because they want to, not because they feel like they have to.
Right. That's cool.
Trust is another place. We want to be very transparent in everything that we do. Always want to make sure that the creator is looped in on all of the emails. If they want to be a part of the meetings about their company, like let them. Um, I don't see why. There are some people that like are very hands off, and on the other side, there's people that want to be in every single meeting that they can.
Hmm.
It's just down to that one creator. And then another place where we stand out is diversity. Our we're starting with that as far as diversity goes on the team. So with myself, Oliver, Sarah, and Zach, we're a very diverse group of people. We're Hispanic, we're Asian, we're female, we're LGBTQ. Um, so I starts with the team, and if you look at our roster right now, it probably doesn't feel that way because it's a lot of like our friends or people we used to work with at OPG that we've
Hmm.
sort of like saved from not having to go somewhere else. But in the future, you're going to see roster grow and represent different people. And then also circling back to the management versus agency. When people work with us, they're going to have a choice whether they want management or whether they want an agency. And
Mm,
with the
interesting.
agency part, uh, a lot of smaller creators, that's where we're going to be able to work with a ton of people that were not previously represented because they have enough time to manage their emails. They don't really need that help, but they do need help getting their foot in the door, getting seen by these brands. And I think that's where we're going to be able to help them out.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
So I guess like, you know, if a streamer comes to you, are they like, should they be looking for to like sign up as under your agency or your management or both? Like, I guess what differences would qualify someone to be a part of, you know, the different wings of your company?
It's really up to them. I think that People have so far been very good at thinking about their content and what they need. I haven't come into a situation where people think that they need management when they don't. Um, so it's really up to them. We have that conversation, we talk to them, and we say like, hey, there's management, which is a certain percentage amount of money, and then we have the agency, which is a certain percent, and then if you do both, it's a little bit knocked down
Mm.
to be both. But that's really just kind of their decision, unless we feel like they aren't getting like, if somebody really wants management but then they aren't getting a ton of work, then it doesn't really make sense. We're just going to be sitting there not doing anything, so I don't
Mhm.
think that would be in their best interest. We would probably advise them like, you shouldn't sign with us yet on that
Mhm.
aspect. But yeah, it's completely up to them. We have onboarding calls, or like just initial calls to talk more about our company, all the time. So if anybody feels like they want to reach out, then they can just head to our website and do so.
Nice. So, how does a streamer know if they need management? What are things that they should be looking for within themselves?
You need management if you feel like you can't keep up with your business email. If you're losing opportunities because you can't get to it in time, or if that's just like a tedious aspect. I know that there's a ton of people who have just avoided the subject altogether because they're so hyper focused on content creation. But especially during times like COVID, they're realizing like, I need to make more money. I need to really turn this into a very profitable business. And that's one of the things that streaming can really do. And we want to be able to help with that.
Awesome. So, what is your plan for bringing on new creators? Like, do you have a target number in mind or a timeline for onboarding new clients?
We don't have a specific number. Um, like I alluded to earlier, we want to make sure that we aren't too overwhelmed. And so right now we're kind of testing out all of these workflows and processes, and we're going to see whether we're too overloaded right now or if this is a good number and we can
Hmm.
um, work with more people. We definitely are focused on getting that agency up. But after that, then we'll probably get into a hiring phase where we're bringing on new talent managers, bringing on employees, people from the community that are doing really well in the streaming space, that want to work full time in the industry. And once we do that, then we'll be able to service more people.
Nice. Awesome. Um, let's see. So if I guess you kind of mentioned this, but if a streamer or a brand wants to connect with you, what's the best way for them to reach you? And to follow up with that, what are some things that a streamer should include in their message for this process to be, easier, more streamlined, just to save a couple of extra emails?
Yeah. So if you go to our website, which is phoenixdown.co, there is a contact us page. It's right on the home screen, or if you like click into the actual content of the website, then it's a footer on the bottom. There's a form that you can fill out. Please include your name and your username. We've gotten some emails where it doesn't have a username. I'm like, I don't know how to even look this person up.
Mhm.
But some links would be nice, so that way we could check out your content. If you want to include maybe a paragraph of like what your community is like, what games you've played, maybe just like a short history of yourself, that's always very helpful. I've seen pretty much a lot of people have done good so far, but you definitely do not have to be scared to reach out at all. Um, I think that it comes from my theater background. I had to go on auditions all the time, and there was a lot of times where I was like, I'm not going to audition, I'm not going to get it anyway. And it's like, no, let them say no.
Mhm.
Like, don't say no to yourself, just shoot your shot.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, like, what's the worst that can happen, right? Like, you're not gonna be blacklisted for trying, like,
No.
even if it's not a good fit right off the bat. What has been the most exciting part of this whole journey for you?
It's a good question. Our launch very exciting. I think seeing all of the positive reception was really great.
Mhm.
Um, I didn't expect the launch to go well, and like
No?
Not to go well. I meant to say not to go that well.
Hmm.
Like there were so many people offering their support and they were so happy for us, and it was a very emotional day, in a good way. But for me, that's gonna sound pretty nerdy, but I really liked working up that management agreement and working with the attorney to build it from the ground up. I thought that that was really cool and a really unique experience that I don't know will ever happen to me again. Um, and you don't normally say that, like, oh, attorneys are fun, but I like ours. It was a good experience. It made me like realize how exciting this all is.
That's really cool. So, at the start of 2020, or at any point, did you ever foresee yourself being the CEO of a company that manages streamers?
No, definitely not. Uh, even when you say it out loud, I'm like, wait, is that a thing?
Is that me? You talking about me?
It just proves that anything can happen in 2020, you know? I never thought about myself as a CEO, even though I've had a couple of ventures. Before previously, I had a candle company. Technically, if you run a Twitch channel, if you're hosting, if you're putting yourself out there, if you're self-employed, technically you are a CEO. You're running the show, um, and you can create a legal business infrastructure that says you're a CEO. But either way, you kind of are.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I this opportunity was just too big, and it helped so many people that I couldn't say no to it. And it's extremely terrifying to rise to the occasion. But if I don't do it, who's going to?
Hmm.
So
Yeah, I feel
that's
like there were
where I'm
high expectations. I know, a lot of people were looking to you and to the OPG coworkers, what are you guys gonna do? Like, we still want to work with you. Like, I can't imagine what that pressure has been like to be like, oh, I guess we're gonna do this thing, just wait a few more months.
at. Yeah, that's exactly how it feels. Um, I would like wake up in the morning and be like, "Are you guys sure that you want me to do this?" Because I kind of like sleep in, you know. Like I can do it, but like work life balance still has to be a thing. Like I'm still gonna host and create, and you guys are okay with that, and everybody's been very supportive. And I couldn't do this without my team. So I'm very happy that there's four of us going at this together. I do want to note that we all have ownership in the company. So even though I might be like CEO, this is very much a team-based effort, and I couldn't do it without help.
That's
That would
awesome.
be that would be terrible.
That's awesome. So anything else that you want to say for any curious streamer out there, any brand that's listening today to this interview?
Um, I want to just thank you guys for the support and thank you for having me on the show to be able to talk about things. As you can tell, I'm like super nervous, which is kind of ridiculous because I host for GameStop. I should be good at talking, but you know. I want to sort of like lower the bar when it comes to creating your own business or like taking leadership positions. um, I think as long as you're a hard worker and you're smart, then go for it. The hardest part has been sort of trusting yourselves and taking that leap and doing it scared, because I'm terrified, but my mantra is always like, oh well, do it scared. As far as the streamers, hit us up if you want to. We're open to questions at any time. My DMs are open. The entire team's DMs are open. And we also have that contact form on our website. We just want to see a brighter future for content creators where everybody's being treated fairly, where they're being paid fairly for their work. And we don't have to, deal with sexual harassment stuff. Like, we just want to make the industry a safer and better place for everybody.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I'm super excited to see what you guys do in the future. And I wish you guys the best of luck. Having personally worked with you guys, I have a lot of faith. You guys are going to be awesome. So, Janessa, thank you so much for coming on the show today. Guys, can we get some love and chat for Pods of War, CEO of Phoenix Down? look forward to seeing what you do next, and I'm sure we will talk again in the future. So thank you so much for coming on today.
Thank you. Bye, guys.